この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
Are you curious where you can watch the latest episode of Kamen Rider and Sentai every week? Well, since there is no official release, you might have to resort to alternative methods. Personally, when I search for website to watch tokusatsu, my top priority is to safeguard my personal data. That's why I rely on Surfshark VPN, the sponsor of today's video. With Surfshark, your online safety and privacy is paramount as it is effective at concealing your online activities through its VPN capabilities. By encrypting your internet traffic that nobody can pry into your online endeavors or track your digital whereabouts. Additionally, Surfshark enables you to virtually explore the world with a tap thanks to its ability to change your VPN address. By switching your location to anywhere in America, let's say, you can access at least over 10 Ultraman shows and movies, or explore other Toku shows available on Tokushoutsu. You can poke around at the Japanese Premium Bandai page and discover a captivating array of expensive children's toys. I highly recommend getting Surfshark VPN today, as it comes with an extra 3 months. Simply click the link in the description, and if you are unsatisfied, rest assured there is a 30-day money-back guarantee. So why wait any longer? Take advantage of this fantastic offer and sign up now. It's an incredible opportunity for all of you, my fellow Tokusatsu fans. I just absolutely love the way that this episode sets up the dread of Valron brings, with his great mode of transportation being a dead planet that he collides with another that would make his new transportation method. Hey, at least he doesn't use any other gas. And there is something so cool seeing all of the escalations with all of the waves, because you can clearly see V99 choosing the most destructive forces to try to destroy Earth. And you can clearly see kind of like the way that how each and every wave or kaiju that V99 choose is slightly different, specifically like with their intelligent level. Bazanga is like pretty much pure like smooth brain brawn. Like yeah, like he's kind of smart, but he's like the most animalistic wave that we've seen. He can shoot shit, but he feels way more organic than anything else. While Gabolga, both original Brood variant, are a lot smarter. They're probably not as strong as Bazanga, but they are at least smarter to understand to work in levels and not straight up go all out at the first time. While Valron is basically the combination of the two. Bazanga's brawn with his bombs that pretty much are fully organic, that he can actually manufacture by his body, while having the smart of Gabolga, knowing that Ultraman's light can give him a source of power. Humans are afraid of dying. All of it kind of like fits together to make Valron pretty much be the ultimate bad guy. Almost like a Griza 2.0. It's kind of interesting that I'm drawing connection to Ultraman X. But yeah, there is weirdly a lot more connections to Ultraman X in Blazar than any other like Taguchi season, to be completely honest. If I'm already talking about the villains of the episode and the entire series, let's talk about the Boshi and how much I love seeing more of the Boshi being a big old piece of shit. With him trying to burn Amy's dad's journal and just arriving at the GGF CP unannounced, and everybody's like, okay, sit down, you were our former director, how much you're retired, and it doesn't make any sense that you just can barge in and just sit down and watch the fireworks. And I love seeing him just like, oh yeah, at having the Boshi tell the right now current director of the GGF, is like, yeah, tell Scar to go down there and fight Valorant. I wanna watch the fireworks. It's, oh my god, like this is such a piece of shit move. Almost like, hey, if Valorant dies, great. If Scar dies, great. If both of them die, amazing. Because I got rid of V99 pretty much, and I got rid of Scarred. Like, I'm killing two birds with one stone. Literally. And it's so interesting to see him. It's pretty much like, oh, like, if Scarred dies, I can't be exposed. But hey, if Scarred can actually, like, destroy Valorant, hey, I can just disband him and make them go quiet. Like, the Boshi is such a great villain. And if we are already continuing to talk about the GGF and them being stupendously irresponsible with, first of all, them rushing Earthgaron, which is kind of interesting that actually the show gave a reason why Earthgaron never actually won one singular fight, which I like it. And they actually fire Retsuno because he fully took responsibility for what Scar did in the last episode. Would be interesting what happened after the big final fight in this week's episode, because we don't see Retsuno in the Blazar movie. Is he just going to take the director's chair, or he's just going to stay retired forever? This would be interesting, because if you really think about it, Scarred and Retsuno are so interlocked. Having like Retsuno be without Scarred is weird. I don't know, like he should be a part of like the big reveal of like the Boshi being a piece of shit and he and Amy actually like exposing him together. I don't know. I think it makes total sense. And the thing that I love the most about this episode, and that is, it almost wrapped up everything with our team. It's Earthy getting his final mod, aka just putting everything together in one suit. I think it would work, right? To pretty much create the ultimate Earthgaron. I love the scene with the entire team pretty much a day before they are supposed to go to space to fight the third wave, and you can clearly feel the sense of dread. Even Teraraki pretty much says, hey, like this is a life and death situation, we can die. But all of them, each and every member of the team is like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're not only going to do it, we're going to succeed and we're going to stay alive. Specifically, like having Gento is like, we're not dying. We are finishing the mission with all of us living. Like, the one thing I kind of hate, the one thing I kind of hated with the movie, not only with trailers and like stills of the movie being announced so early, it's like, like it could have been interesting to maybe know, like, oh, maybe one of the members sacrifices himself. It's like, have me slightly on the edge of my seat. How much, again, there is no way any of the characters are going to die, but it's like the small little feeling in the back of my head, thinking, just having a little bit of a suspicion of a character dying could have been interesting. But yeah, and after that, pretty much every character gets a small scene. Pretty much all of them ties back to a previous character-focused episode that was focused on them. If it's a Nari going on a run, probably listening to classical music, or even the music that the Alien Pit band made. Bando sits down next to his favorite washing machine and probably talking to it when everybody is around because he doesn't care anymore if he looks like a weirdo. While like Tadaraki calls his dad to tell him to go and get an appointment because it's important for him to stay healthy, showing how much those two really gotten closer since episode 20. All of them were great and all of them were like nice touches to those characters that, yes, aren't as important as Gento or Amy because their characters aren't as like close to the main plot, but they are a part of it. They are a part of Scarred, and Scarred is a true family. And I just loved it. While Inari and Gento got a lot more extensive scenes around them, with Gento still not being physically healthy enough, he doesn't want to transform into Blazar because he doesn't want Blazar to get hurt. And I just love that, like, you can clearly see there is a bigger connection with Gento and Blazar from like the beginning of the show, from like Blazar forcefully transforms Gento into him to Gento's like being slightly scared that Blazar would maybe get hurt or even die, while having Gento actually get his final meal with his family before he goes out. And it's like having this small conversation with Gento actually being way more optimistic about, oh yeah, like you would not need to actually leave the area. We're going to fight the kaiju in space and everything would be good. Like, that was great. Like, having Gento's wife say, oh yeah, buddy, we're going to say goodbye to Gento before he leaves, and Gento is like, his slight optimism kind of fades away and he leaves earlier. And when he tries to leave, he has this great moment with his wife that I just loved. Like, that moment to have those two characters that, yeah, like his wife is practically not a reoccurring character, but you can really feel how much his wife really mattered to him, how much Gento matters to his wife, how much Gento's kid matters to him, with him actually like wearing the bracelet, which I kind of wish that the prop department would like put it on him more regularly, or maybe I just couldn't see it every episode, but this episode actually like does point it out. It's like, hey, you're wearing the bracelet. And having the idea that he wears the bracelet on the same hand that he has his wedding ring is really nice. It's kind of like this hand is very much the closest hand to his heart. I think it's like supposed to be his left hand, if I remember correctly. And having also that hand be where like the Blazar brace actually appears on is like even cooler. Maybe it's like, you know, most people wear like wedding rings and pretty much braces and jewelry on that hand, but there is kind of this small thematic thing about it. It's like, oh, the Blazar brace comes on that head that protects both my wife and my child. Like that was nice. I just love it. And having like his scene with Retsuno was so interesting, because not only it was a build up to do with something with Amy, but also having that scene where like Gento just looks for advice to do something with Amy. It's like, hey, like, what the fuck do I do with Amy? Like, she's kind of can be out of control. It's like, she's your subordinate. You should put a leash on her. It's really interesting. And also kind of puts up a theory Retsuno mainly made Scar to protect Amy, because he knows how like careless and irresponsible she can be with trying to find the truth about her dad's disappearance. That's so interesting. And it's like small moments that we don't need to get every week. Those are not moments that we need to see every week. But gosh, like, getting that conclusion makes sense. And that moment when Retsuno gets the half-burnt journal was like so cool, because it's like, oh, he's gonna do something. Oh, that's gonna be cool. But wait for the finale. That was like, oh, that was amazing. Like, I loved it. Like, genuinely. From actually, and it's so interesting that from the beginning, I thought like Retsuno is totally going to be like the true final bad guy. It's just going to be pretty much maybe like Ultraman Z2, but just the difference is like the actual villains are like the humans. To, oh no, Retsuno is actually kind of like a nice dude. Like, yeah, he's hard on people. He doesn't really trust Ultraman. But like, he in one point understands, it's like, oh yeah, like Scarred are responsible. Scarred is a team that I actually build and I respect, and I believe they can win. It's this small moment. His belief in humanity makes him more relatable to us. And it's like, oh, that's amazing. Like, I don't know what to say, except like, oh my god, Retsuno, for me, did the biggest turnaround from like a character that I kind of felt that at one point would be like the most like two-dimensional character of the entire show to, oh, he's really interesting. And I think one of the most underrated scenes of the episode was pretty much Amy talking to Earthy about V99 and actually kind of giving us more information about V99 when he sent an asteroid towards Earth and GGF Japan shot it down. Probably ever since he has been planning his revenge, and having Amy convincing Earthy to give her information that he wasn't really needed to give her was really cool. And a thing that I kind of find irritating, and that is like, oh, like that small conversation between Earthy and Amy kind of like, man, made me feel like I wish Earthy was an AI from the beginning. Like, I wish he had that AI, because that could have been such an interesting story. Specifically, is like that moment where like Amy kind of tells Earthy that's like, yeah, like I see you, we all as Scarred see you as a part of the team. We're more than friends, we're family. And like Earthy agrees. Like, he's intelligent enough to actually like feel and understands emotions. And that's like so interesting. And it's like, you could have told a slightly more interesting and very much like off for today's story, specifically with AI being around. It's like, oh my god, that would have been so interesting to see, and so interesting to see develop, to be completely honest. And pretty much after Amy gets that SD drive from Earthy and Scarred goes to space, she inserts the SD card and she cracks it in, and we get some information until two well-dressed men enters Mopi to be a big ol' submersion, because it clearly is not the Boshi's men. Those are clearly Retsuno's men that actually were there to protect Amy, to kind of like take her off, and it's like, hey, do your shit here while I would give you your journal back. It's very much that. It's not the Boshi trying to kill Amy. It's very much Retsuno's men. But one of the things that I love the most in specifically like that scene where we can kind of see some of the information about V99, and that is we got some of the files shown on screen. One of them was in English. So pretty much it tells that actually GGF of America was the first one to discover V99 and alerted all other GGF brands. And the specific objects, being the asteroid, was practically not really known to be if it wanted to destroy Earth or just a mixed signal. So GGF of Japan just tried to shoot it, and it succeeded. It's kind of interesting that GGF of Japan is doing the American thing. Hey, let's shoot it first and ask question later. It's kind of funny, I don't know. And it shows how much the Boshi is probably an idiot, because probably he was around the time, probably still a very high-ranking officer or even the director of GGF Japan. So it's like, he actually said, yeah, let's do that. I just love it. I genuinely love it. It's something that is so interesting that maybe V99 is not the bad guy, and it still is the Deboshi and the GGF, specifically GGF Japan. That's actually interesting. That's like a compelling story. We don't need this big bad guy that Ultraman need to fight every week. It's like, no, just have, you know, the Ultraman fight in his human form. That's cooler. And the idea that V99 is actually almost like a radical destruction entity type of entity was really cool. Like, it maybe could be a radical destruction, it maybe could be the radical destruction entity with a different name, because like, again, Blazar is just Gaia 2.0, so just like make it a sequel to Gaia. I don't know. Again, we don't know kind of like how the show is going to end. Maybe just Gamu's just going to show up in the middle of like the final scene and just transforms into Gaia. We don't know anything. We don't know anything about the finale. Subara this time didn't leak the finale, while the fight on the moon didn't really go that well. Not only in the way of, yeah, Earth Garon lost very quickly, but also it didn't really have this really cool fight scene. It very much was there to pretty much job out everyone and show how much Veteran as like a kaiju is dangerous with his bombs, and also like him being like super intelligent. And I just love the moment where like they destroyed Earth Garon, or at least Earth Garon was pretty much down out of commission for at least this part of the episode, because he's clearly going to come back in the finale. Gento like reluctantly transforms into Blazar, and Blazar's like color timer already starts blinking, and it's like, oh, that's cool. It's this nice little attention to details that like both Gento and Blazar are not well. And I love the moment where just like, okay, Velron kind of understood that Ultraman's light can give him power, so he just sucks him dry. Like he just took the Glock 9000 and just kept sucking and sucking and sucking, and after that there was this big like, oh boom, there is a big explosion, and like there is this really cool scene that homages pretty much the first episode of like 66 Ultraman, where like both the first and like the final episode of 66 Ultraman, where Blazar and Gento kind of separate, and it was like, oh, that was so cool. That was like so cool. That was like such a nice little touch that like my nostalgia monkey brain just kind of starts sparkling. It's like, oh my god, that's so cool. And after that, we kind of return to almost the same scene before Gento transforms into Blazar. And it's like, oh my god, this is like Gento's like precognitive kind of like theme that he kind of tried to understand what the future kind of would be. And Blazar and Gento ready to transforms. And he has like the Blazar Stone in his hand. And he opens up his palm and the Blazar Stone is empty. And we see Blazar's lifeless carcass just rolling around space. I am emotionally devastated, and since last Saturday, I haven't recovered yet. This is, I think, the first Ultraman since X that actually lost the big battle. At least an episode before the finale, because he's clearly going to return. Even the preview spoils it. So it's so interesting to see how like Blazar is kind of going to return, because it's not like X where like Daichi and X kind of semi die together, and you know the power of the entirety of Geo kind of like brought him back, along with X and Daiji's want to save Earth. So it would be so interesting to see how this show is going to end. Blazar as a show is amazing. Like, I truly believe that the last episode is going to stick the landing, and I'm going to be so happy and kind of sad that the show is ending. I wish that the show was slightly longer. It feels like the show could have maybe needed a couple of more episodes to really drag on the story, to make it feel a lot of like the big kind of revelation to feel a lot more impactful. But you know what? This show, if and when it sticks the landing in the final episode, it's already grabbed my top 10. If it sticks, it's in my top 5. Like, genuinely, it would knock off Zed and put it in my favorite 5 seasons of Ultra, because fuck, this show was amazing. So yeah, what you thought about Ultraman Blazar episode 24? One more episode before the final episode. Comment below, let me know. Thanks for Surfshark for supporting my channel. Thank you all for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel if you already didn't. And have a great rest of your day.